I'll get halfway through, and I remember I should have taken a before picture.
Sorry.
So when I look at a tree, the first thing I decide on what's the front. There's pretty much two selections on this guy, either this side or the other side. We're not going to look at a tree going away from us. We're not going to look at a tree going right at us. So we've got one side or the other. So what determines what the front of the tree is? The first determinant is the nabari, the base of the tree here. That's the most important part. So when you're going to buy a tree, there's a certain hierarchy of what is valuable to that tree. So the most important part is the nabari. That's number one there. Number two is the trunk itself. Is it got movement? Has it got taper? Number three is the branches. And the last part is the foliage. So everybody sees a lot of foliage. Oh, that's so great. I want to buy that tree. And then they look at it. There's no taper. There's no nabari. The branches are all in the wrong spot. But it's got a lot of foliage. Looks good. So kind of think a little more critically when you're buying trees. Has it got a nice base? Does it have a nice trunk? Is there movement to the trunk? I like movement. Straight lines are boring. That's just my thing. A Christmas tree, I wouldn't want a bonsai tree that looks like a Christmas tree. Straight line is pretty boring. I want something that has some drama to it. You know, all trees have a story to them. Some stories are just better than others. Hierarchy, the nabari, the trunk, the branches, then the foliage. So looking at this one, probably we're going to go into somewhat of a slanting direction. But when you get trees, feel free to move them around. Does that make it look better? I don't think so. It's certainly not as dramatic to me going up in that direction there. It could be done. We could knock a bunch of this dirt off, replant it, and it looks like there's some on the other side. And more than likely, this was upright at one period of time, and then probably Robert collected it and put it in there, or over time it kind of leaned over. I know a lot of times that happens in my street. They start this way, and then a little bit more and more and more. So let's put some drama to it. So what kind of story are we going to give this tree? Probably the story is that there's some kind of influence to make it lean in that direction. What influences that? One is wind. Two, it could be on the side of a riverbank and the water's washing off, and it's leaning over a riverbank now. That's another direction. There could be a big old stone sitting here, and the tree grows up, it can't get out, so it has to grow around the stone, and then it grows up once it gets above there. So it just depends on, you know, what kind of story you want to tell. All right, what next? Cosette says I talk too much. I need to work on trees more. All right, so the next thing to do is select the front. So I've looked at the two sides, and I kind of have what I like is the front, and then there's the other side. So looking at it from this way, this has got somewhat of an interest down to the base of it. If I turn it around the other way, it just doesn't quite have that same power. I mean, I don't dislike this little thing here, but if you notice the thickness of it is smaller from this angle than it is from the other side. However, I like the branch position from this front better than the other front. So this is one of the challenges with collected material. Sometimes the base doesn't always connect with what you want for the branches that are available to use. So, is there ever a perfect bonsai? Hell no. Not one from Kokofu 10. You could go in there every tree and, quote, give it a critique and find a flaw to it. So